Nothing bothers you in Buddhism. Hello and welcome to Zen Buddhism Wisdom. Today we're diving deep into a question that could change your life forever. How can we find unshakable peace in a world filled with chaos, negativity, and constant challenges? Imagine living a life where insults don't hurt you, failures don't break you, and uncertainty doesn't make you anxious. A life where no external event has the power to control your emotions. Sounds impossible. What if I told you that Buddhism holds the key to achieving this profound state of mind? Most of us go through life reacting, getting angry when someone criticizes us, feeling restless in difficult times, and allowing fear to shape our decisions. But the truth is, inner peace is not about avoiding problems or pretending not to care. It's about mastering your mind so that nothing disturbs your balance. In today's journey, we will uncover 8 life-changing Buddhist principles that will help you navigate life with strength, clarity, and serenity. These are not just ancient philosophical ideas. They are powerful, practical insights you can apply right away. So, are you ready to unlock the wisdom that will transform your life? Let's begin. 1. Do not hate those who hate you. The wisdom of detachment. When someone insults you, criticizes you, or tries to bring you down, your first instinct may be to fight back or dwell on the pain. This reaction is deeply ingrained in human nature, an almost automatic response stemming from our evolutionary need to protect our sense of identity and self-worth. However, Buddhism teaches a radical approach. Do not return hate with hate. This may seem counterintuitive at first. After all, isn't it natural to defend ourselves, to strike back, or at least to carry resentment? But upon deeper reflection, we realize that hatred does not harm the one we hate. It poisons us. Hatred is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. When we allow resentment to take root in our hearts, it burns us from within, clouding our minds and disturbing our peace. This is not merely a philosophical idea, but a truth observable in daily life. How often do we replay hurtful words or past wrongs in our minds, allowing them to occupy our thoughts? Long after the moment has passed, the anger may initially feel justified, but over time, it drains our energy, affects our health, and alters our perception of reality. A powerful Zen story illustrates the wisdom of detachment. A samurai once visited a Zen master and asked, "Master, why do people insult me, despite my kindness?" Instead of offering an immediate answer, the master handed him a beautifully wrapped gift and posed a question: "If you refuse this gift, to whom does it belong?" The samurai replied, "To the one who offered it." The master smiled and said, "Then why accept their hatred? Let it remain with them." This story carries a profound message. Negativity only has power over us if we accept it. If someone hurls an insult, it is their burden, not ours. Their anger is a reflection of their inner state, not a truth about who we are. By internalizing their words, we give them control over our emotions. But when we detach, we remain free. This wisdom is not just found in Buddhist teachings, but echoed throughout history. Mahatma Gandhi, despite enduring imprisonment and attacks, never allowed hatred to dictate his actions. He famously said, "You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no result." His commitment to non-violence and detachment from resentment allowed him to lead a movement that changed the course of history. Similarly, Nelson Mandela, who was unjustly imprisoned for 27 years, emerged without bitterness. He understood that if he carried hatred, he would still be imprisoned, not in a cell, but in his own mind. Instead of seeking vengeance, he sought reconciliation, understanding that true power lies in rising above negativity. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies, he once remarked. Even in the world of philosophy, we see similar wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, advised, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." He recognized that reacting with anger only drags us down to the level of those who harm us. True strength is in maintaining peace, regardless of external circumstances. Science, too, supports this teaching. Psychological studies reveal that chronic anger and resentment increase levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, which weakens the immune system, raises blood pressure, and accelerates aging. Holding on to grudges is akin to prolonged stress exposure. It slowly deteriorates our well-being. Conversely, practicing forgiveness and detachment leads to lower stress levels, improved mental clarity, and greater overall happiness. So how do we cultivate detachment in daily life? First, by developing awareness. When confronted with negativity, we must recognize our initial reaction. Do we feel the urge to defend, retaliate, or dwell? Awareness is the first step to change. Next, we must create space between stimulus and response. Before reacting, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, will engaging in this conflict bring me peace? Will it improve the situation or simply fuel negativity? If the answer is the latter, choose non-reaction. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. A calm response disarms negativity far more effectively than anger ever could. We must also reframe our perception of insults. Instead of taking them personally, view them as a reflection of the other person's suffering. A happy, peaceful individual does not feel the need to harm others. Those who insult or spread negativity often do so from their own pain. When we understand this, we shift from taking offense to feeling compassion. One powerful practice is metta meditation, or loving kindness meditation. In this practice, we extend thoughts of goodwill not only to those we love, but also to those who have wronged us. This may seem difficult at first, but with practice, it dissolves the grip of resentment and allows us to see others not as enemies, but as fellow humans struggling with their own pain. Thich Nhat Hanh, The revered Zen master once said, "When another person makes you suffer, it is because he suffers deeply within himself, and his suffering is spilling over. He does not need punishment, he needs help." This does not mean excusing harmful actions, but rather choosing to free ourselves from the burden of hatred. Detachment does not mean passivity, nor does it mean allowing others to walk over us. It means responding with wisdom rather than emotion. Sometimes the wisest response is walking away. Other times it is standing firm without hostility. In all cases, it means maintaining inner peace regardless of external events. Ultimately, our worth is not defined by others' opinions. The world is full of fleeting judgment sprays one day, criticism the next. If we base our self-worth on external validation, we become prisoners of a fluctuating tide. But if we cultivate detachment, we become like the deep ocean, calm, unshaken by the waves. Above, peace is not found in controlling others, it is found in mastering ourselves. When we let go of hatred, we reclaim our power. Let insults pass like the wind, let negativity dissolve like morning mist. The one who can walk through fire without being burned is not the one who fights the flames, but the one who understands that the fire was never theirs to begin with. 2. Humility. True wisdom lies in simplicity. Many people mistake humility for weakness, but true humility is the ability to recognize that we do not know everything and that life itself is our greatest teacher. Buddha once said, "A wise man is not one who speaks a lot, but one who listens, learns, and understands." In ancient China, a proud scholar visited a Zen master, claiming he knew everything about philosophy. The master served him tea but kept pouring until the cup overflowed. The scholar shouted, "Stop, the cup is full." The master replied, "Like this cup, your mind is too full. Empty it, and you will learn. Ego is the greatest obstacle to wisdom. The more we think we know, the less we actually understand. The wisest people are those who remain open to learning. When we listen more and speak less, we gain insight that others miss. True wisdom does not come from showing off knowledge, but from embracing simplicity. Many of history's greatest minds, from Socrates to Einstein, emphasized the power of humility. Socrates famously declared, "I know that I know nothing," acknowledging that true intelligence lies in recognizing one's limitations. The Dalai Lama embodies this principle. Despite his vast knowledge, he approaches life with curiosity and humility, always open to new ideas. He once said, "When you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new." In a world where everyone seeks to be heard, those who master the art of listening gain true wisdom. By practicing humility, we remain lifelong students, continuously evolving and deepening our understanding of life. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself, but about thinking of yourself less. It is not self-deprecation, nor is it timidity. Rather, it is the quiet confidence of knowing that you are always learning, that the world is vast, and that true wisdom comes from openness, not arrogance. The greatest thinkers, leaders, and spiritual masters throughout history have all possessed one common trait. They never saw themselves as above. Learning in the Zen tradition, the concept of Shoshin, or beginner's mind, is highly valued. A beginner approaches life with curiosity, eager to learn, unafraid to question. But as people gain knowledge, they often fall into the trap of believing they know everything, closing themselves off from further growth. This is the danger of arrogance. It stops progress. The moment we believe we have nothing left to learn, we cease evolving. History is full of examples where arrogance led to downfall and humility led to greatness. Take the case of the Titanic. The ship was declared unsinkable, leading to overconfidence and recklessness in navigation. The result, a disaster that could have been avoided had caution and humility been exercised. Contrast this with the leadership of Abraham Lincoln, who, despite being President of the United States, actively surrounded himself with advisors who challenged his views. He was not afraid to admit when he was wrong, nor did he cling to his ego. This humility made him one of the most respected leaders in history. Leonardo da Vinci, often hailed as one of the greatest minds of all time, was profoundly humble in his approach to learning. He studied everything: anatomy, engineering, art, nature, not with arrogance, but with wonder. His humility allowed him to explore and innovate, because he never saw himself as a master, only as a student of the universe. True humility also fosters deeper human connections. People are naturally drawn to those who listen, who show genuine curiosity, and who do not seek to dominate every conversation. Dale Carnegie, author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, observed that the key to being likable is not in talking about oneself, but in making others feel heard and valued. The best leaders are those who uplift others, not those who seek to prove their superiority. Practicing humility in daily life means embracing the mindset of a student in all situations. It means listening more than speaking, asking questions rather than assuming answers, and being willing to admit when we are wrong. It means valuing experiences over titles, wisdom over pride. When we do this, we not only grow wiser, but also become more respected and admired, not through force, but through grace. But humility is not just about knowledge, it is about how we approach life itself. A person who approaches life with humility does not expect the world to cater to them. They are grateful for what they have and do not feel entitled to more. This mindset creates contentment, while arrogance leads to endless dissatisfaction. The humble person understands that every person they meet, no matter their status, has something to teach them. This principle is beautifully illustrated in a Zen story. A great warrior visited a Zen master and demanded to be taught enlightenment. The master invited him to sit and served him tea. As the master poured the cup, filled to the brim, but he continued pouring until tea overflowed onto the table. The warrior protested, "The cup is full, no more will go in." The master smiled, "Exactly like this cup, your mind is full of opinions and judgments. How can I teach you unless you first empty your cup?" Humility is the key to wisdom. Only when we empty our minds of arrogance can we truly receive knowledge. 3. Do not let others control your life. Be the captain of your own ship. Many people live their lives according to the expectations of others. They choose careers not because they love them, but because their families or society dictate it. They follow traditions they do not believe in out of fear of judgment. They hold back from pursuing their dreams because they are afraid of what others might say. But Buddhism teaches that true peace comes when we take full ownership of our lives. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate on the present moment. Buddha. There is an old story of an eagle raised among chickens. Since birth, it was surrounded by hens and roosters, pecking at the ground, never attempting to fly. One day, it looked up and saw an eagle soaring high above. Something stirred within it. Could I fly too? It wondered. But the chickens laughed. You are one of us. ... You belong here. So the eagle never tried and lived its life as a chicken, never knowing its true potential. Many people live like this eagle, held back not by real limitations, but by the voices of others. They allow society to dictate what is possible for them. But what if they dared to question these limitations? What if they realized they had wings all along? Throughout history, those who changed the world did so by rejecting the expectations imposed on them. Galileo was ridiculed for suggesting that the Earth was not the center of the universe. He could have conformed, but instead, he pursued truth. Vincent van Gogh died without recognition, yet he continued painting, following his passion rather than seeking approval. Today, his works are priceless. Consider the life of Steve Jobs. He was told he was not fit to lead a company. He was even forced out of Apple, the company he founded. But instead of giving up, he followed his vision. Years later, he returned and transformed Apple into one of the most successful companies in the world. His famous words, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life," echo the essence of Buddhist wisdom. Buddhism teaches us to let go of attachments, not just material possessions, but also attachments to societal expectations. The moment we stop seeking approval, we gain true freedom. The world will always have opinions, but they are not reality. The only reality is your own path, your own truth. But how do we break free? First, by realizing that the fear of judgment is often worse than the judgment itself. People are too busy with their own lives to truly focus on ours. The criticisms we fear are often fleeting thoughts in someone else's mind, gone as quickly as they appear. Second, by accepting that no matter what we do, we will never please everyone. If we live for approval, we become puppets, pulled in different directions by 1,000 hands. Instead, we must look inward. What brings us peace? What sets our soul on fire? Third, by taking small but firm steps toward independence. Every great journey begins with a single step. If you have a dream, start working on it today, even if only for a few minutes. With time, those small steps become momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. Life is fleeting. Imagine being at the end of your life, looking back. Would you regret following your own path, or would you regret living for others? The answer is clear. The greatest tragedy is not failure, but never trying at all. 4. Listen twice as much as you speak. The power of deep listening. The world is filled with noise. Everyone wants to speak, to be heard, to prove their point, but few truly listen. In Zen philosophy, deep listening is an act of presence, a practice of mindfulness that transforms relationships and nurtures wisdom. A Zen proverb says, "When the mouth is open, the mind is closed." Listening is not merely hearing words, it is absorbing their meaning, understanding their depth, and connecting with the speaker's heart. When we listen with full attention, we move beyond words and into true understanding. In ancient Japan, samurai were trained not just in battle but in the art of silence. A skilled warrior knew that reckless words could cause more harm than a sword. By mastering silence and deep listening, they gained the wisdom to act at the right time. This principle applies to everyday life. Those who speak impulsively often regret their words, but those who listen first respond with clarity and insight. A powerful historical example of deep listening comes from the life of Mahatma Gandhi. When India was fighting for independence, many people expected Gandhi to be a fiery orator, but he was known for his remarkable ability to listen before responding. He would sit in silence, absorbing every word. His approach diffused conflicts and earned him respect from both allies and adversaries. His patience and deep listening shaped India's non-violent resistance movement, proving that true power comes not from shouting the loudest but from understanding the epos. In the business world, the most successful leaders are those who listen. Henry Ford, the man who revolutionized the automobile industry, once said, "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." Instead of imposing his own ideas, he listened deeply, not just two words, but two needs. By understanding what people truly desired, he created an industry-changing innovation. The Zen practice of deep listening is also essential in personal relationships. Many conflicts arise not from true disagreements, but from a lack of understanding. How many arguments could be avoided if we simply listened not to reply, but to truly hear. Practicing deep listening requires discipline. It means resisting the urge to interrupt, to judge, to mentally prepare a response while the other person is still speaking. It means being fully present with an open heart and an empty mind, like a still lake reflecting the sky. A simple way to cultivate this habit is through the Zen exercise of silent tea drinking. In monasteries, monks practice drinking tea in absolute silence, focusing entirely on the experience, the warmth of the cup, the aroma, the taste. This trains the mind to be present and to appreciate each moment fully. When applied to conversation, this same level of presence transforms interactions. Deep listening is a rare skill, but those who master it become wise beyond their years. 5. Accept the worst in life. Freedom lies in letting go. Most of our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our resistance to them. We fear failure, loss, and uncertainty, clinging to the illusion that we can control everything. But Buddhism teaches that true freedom lies in surrender, not in weakness, but in acceptance. A Buddhist parable illustrates this truth. A farmer's horse ran away, and his neighbors said, "How unlucky." He simply replied, "Maybe." Days later, the horse returned with wild horses. "How lucky," the neighbors said. Again, he replied, "Maybe." Then his son broke his leg, taming the horse. "How unlucky," they said. "Maybe," he replied. Later, the army came to recruit soldiers, but spared his son due to his injury. "How lucky," they said. Again, he replied, "Maybe." This simple story reveals the essence of acceptance. Life is unpredictable. Events that seem negative may turn into blessings, and what appears fortunate may bring unforeseen challenges. By resisting reality, we create suffering. By accepting it, we find peace. This wisdom is echoed in the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher. Despite facing betrayals, wars, and hardships, he practiced acceptance. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Another historical example is Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who endured the horrors of concentration camps. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote that while he could not control his circumstances, he could control his response. By accepting his suffering rather than resisting it, he found meaning even in the darkest times. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means acknowledging reality as it is, then responding with wisdom. A person who loses their job can resist and suffer, or they can accept and adapt, using the situation as an opportunity for growth. The practice of acceptance can be cultivated through mindfulness. When facing difficulty, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" The shift in perspective changes everything. Freedom is not the absence of problems, but the ability to remain at peace regardless of them. 6. Beware of wealth's illusions. True riches lie in contentment. The world teaches us that happiness comes from more money, more possessions, more status. But Buddhism teaches that true wealth is contentment. A Buddhist monk once visited a wealthy merchant. The merchant showed off his treasures, saying, "I have everything: gold, land, power." The monk smiled and said, "I, too, am rich." The merchant laughed. "You own nothing." The monk replied, "I have the greatest treasure of all. Mind that is at peace." History has shown, time and again, that wealth alone does not bring fulfillment. King Midas, from Greek mythology, was granted the power to turn everything he touched into gold. But when even his food turned to gold, he realized his curse. He had everything, yet nothing. Many billionaires, despite their immense wealth, continue working relentlessly, never feeling they have enough. On the other hand, monks, with nothing but a robe and a bowl, often radiate profound joy. Studies on happiness reveal that beyond a certain level of financial security, more money does not significantly increase well-being. What does? Gratitude, purpose, and meaningful relationships. This does not mean money is bad. It is simply a tool. But if it becomes the goal, we become enslaved to it. The wealthiest people are not those with the most, but those who need the least. Contentment can be cultivated by practicing gratitude. Each day, list 3 things you are thankful for. Over time, this rewires the brain to focus on abundance rather than lack. A Zen teaching says, when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 7. See failure as a stepping stone. Embrace the lessons. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. Every great master was once a beginner who failed countless times, yet most people fear failure, avoiding risks and challenges, believing that mistakes define them. But in Zen, failure is seen as a necessary teacher. A Zen proverb says, "Fall down 7 times, get up 8. One of the most famous examples of this wisdom in history is Thomas Edison. Before inventing the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times. When asked how he felt about failing so many times, he responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." His ability to embrace failure as part of the journey led to one of the greatest inventions of all time. In Japan, the philosophy of wabi-sabi teaches us to embrace imperfection. A cracked teacup is not discarded, but repaired with gold, making it even more valuable. This practice, called kintsugi, symbolizes that our failures and scars are not something to hide. They make us stronger, more unique, and more beautiful. History is filled with people who turned failure into greatness. Abraham Lincoln lost multiple elections before becoming one of the greatest presidents of the United States. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Even Buddha himself failed many times before attaining enlightenment. A powerful Buddhist teaching tells of a young monk who was assigned to carry water from the river, each day using 2 pots. One pot was perfect, while the other had a small crack, leaking water along the path. For years, the cracked pot felt useless. One day, the monk showed it. The beautiful flowers growing along the path, nourished by the leaking water. Your flaw, he said, has created beauty. Failure is not something to fear, it is something to learn from. Each failure brings a lesson, and every lesson brings us closer to wisdom. To embrace failure, ask yourself after every setback, what did I learn? How can I grow from this? When you stop fearing failure, you unlock limitless potential. 8. Remember death. Live with purpose. In Buddhism, monks meditate on death, not to fear it, but to embrace life more fully. Awareness of mortality brings clarity. When you accept that life is fleeting, you stop wasting time on trivial things. You love more deeply, speak more truthfully, and pursue what truly matters. A Zen teaching says, the trouble is, you think you have time. Throughout history, great leaders and philosophers have contemplated death to sharpen their focus on life. The Stoics, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, practiced memento mori, reminding themselves daily that they would die. This was not to cause fear, but to live more meaningfully. In ancient Japan, the samurai followed Bushido, the way of the warrior. They meditated on death daily, believing that only by accepting death could they live fearlessly. This practice gave them unparalleled courage, as they had already made peace with the inevitable. One of the most powerful examples comes from Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. In a famous speech, he said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make big choices in life." He knew that time was limited, so he focused only on what truly mattered. A Buddhist story tells of a man being chased by a tiger. As he runs, he slips over a cliff, clinging to a vine. Above him, the tiger growls. Below him, sharp rocks wait. Then he notices a ripe strawberry growing nearby. Instead of worrying about life or death, he plucks the strawberry and eats it. "How sweet it is," he says. The lesson: life is now. We don't know when our time will come, so we must savor each moment. Imagine if you had 1 year left to live. What would you do differently? Who would you love more? What fears would you let go of? The path to peace is not avoiding death. It is embracing life fully, knowing that each moment is a gift. All these lessons lead to one fundamental truth. Suffering arises from attachment, and true freedom comes from letting go. When we refuse to hold on to hatred, we discover peace. When we release our ego, we gain wisdom. When we stop seeking approval from others, we uncover our true selves. These are not just abstract ideas from ancient texts. They are practical tools for modern life. Whether in your career, relationships, or personal growth, Zen wisdom teaches you how to navigate challenges with clarity and inner strength. If there is one key takeaway from this journey, it is this: Live fully, love deeply, and let go of everything that does not serve your peace. Because in the end, what truly matters is not how much you have, how much you achieve, or how others see you. What matters is how present you were for the life you were given. This video now comes to an end. What are your thoughts on today's lesson? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with more insightful content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.